At CES 2017, ASUS has unveiled the Zenfone 3 Zoom. Unlike its predecessor, there are no moving optics this time around. Instead, it goes for a dual camera configuration like the iPhone 7 Plus, yet with both at 12 megapixels and one with 2.3 times magnification. From my own iPhone 7 Plus experiences, this could be very nice indeed, given the relative lack of moving parts. Mechanical monstrosities like the original Zenfone Zoom, Galaxy K Zoom, and shown later in the show, the Moto Z Hasselblad mod, are ultimately doomed by high price, large bulk, and unreliability with dust ingress common. Elsewhere, the Zenfone 3 Zoom is powered by a Snapdragon 625, has a 5.5-inch 1080p screen, and a whopping 5,000 mAh battery. This is a phone I'll most definitely be getting in for review this spring. Also launched officially now for my home market of the UK is the Honor 6X, the latest in a stream of budget but premium feeling Honor branded smartphones from Huawei that are sold directly to the public. The last Honor device I looked at was the Honor 5C in show 286. This was a budget step way too far, and the 6X looks much tastier yet without breaking the bank. A 5.5-inch 1080p screen, metal unibody design, Kirin 655 chipset, 32GB of storage plus microSD, 3GB of RAM, fingerprint sensor and dual cameras on the back, all for £220 or so. SIM-free direct from Honor. Too good to be true? I'll find out in the next phone show, as it's in for review. HTC has announced the HTC U Ultra, metal with colourful glass on the front and back. HTC has apparently developed an optical spectrum hybrid deposition, which is what gives it the colour. There's a 2-inch secondary display, much like on the LG V20. HTC Sense companion software apparently will learn about you and offer intelligent suggestions, surfacing things from your notifications that it thinks you'll find important. The Super LCD 5 display is 5.7 inches and Quad HD. There's a Snapdragon 821 processor, 4GB of RAM. Other specs are similar to the HTC 10, but with no 3.5mm audio jack. I really don't like this trend. Ah yes, the Pixel dilemma. Yes, it's Google's latest and greatest, but it's imperfect and way overpriced, as I believe I said in great detail in Phone Show 291. Now, as someone who'd been using the Marshall London, I know, old, slow and small, and the Google Nexus 6, old and large, the Google Pixel XL did lack something that's of show-stopping importance to me, personally, the front-facing stereo speakers. Heck, even the iPhone has these now. One of my favourite guilty pleasures is to curl up in a corner of the house to watch an old show on Netflix, a movie on Amazon Prime, a YouTube music documentary, that sort of thing. And as you can imagine, having stereo speakers blasting sound about 30 centimetres from your face direct to each ear is a rather immersive experience. Yes, I could have used headphones, but then I'm risking not hearing the phone ring or the doorbell go, or the family's cry of, "Dad, can you..." So it's a subjective thing and a requirement for phones that's high on my own list of things to look for. And the Google Pixel XL has just the one speaker pointing down the bottom of the phone, which just didn't inspire me at all. But I wanted something newer than my London and my Nexus 6. I wanted the more robust, faster charging, reversible USB Type-C. I wanted future-proofing for another year or two. I wanted at least the possibility of a fingerprint scanner and Android Pay. And then there was the Pixel XL's price in typical 128GB form. It's still £819 in the UK. That's astronomical for a phone whose only unique selling point over a massive mid-priced competition is really a bit more speed, a few extra Google functions. But then I remembered something. Never mind the Nexus 6, again old and large. What about its successor, the Nexus 6P? Significantly narrower and more manageable in the hand, yet still with a 5.7-inch display. I covered the 5X, the sister device, in detail back in Phone Show 265, complaining it was too plasticky, had just the one tinny speaker and was overpriced. Now the Nexus 6P, with almost identical internals and yet with metal build, a larger, high-resolution AMOLED screen and two large stereo speakers that are nigh on identical to my ears to my beloved Nexus 6. I've never formally covered the 6P on the Phone Show because of that 5X similarity, the lack of Qi charging, the lack of OIS in the camera, yada yada. But look past the Qi charging, the full 3-amp USB Type-C power delivery that debuted is now a bona fide standard across the world and supported by many accessories. Look past the lack of OIS in the camera with the latest generation of Google's stock camera app offering HDR+ software that can all but eliminate blur from a shaking hand. And then focus on the positives like the excellent screen and the speakers. And the fact that the Nexus 6P be quiet, Eric. And the fact that the Nexus 6P is now almost a year and a half old, and the 64GB version here can be picked up in mint condition secondhand for, well, not much more than £200 in UK prices. The 6P, being a Nexus, also has Android 7.1.1, the very latest, just as the Pixel does. So it all comes down to hardware. Now let's see, £200-ish for full stereo speakers, or £800 plus, 4 times more for a mono bottom-facing speaker, a slightly faster processor, and a small bump up in RAM and storage. I agree that absolute performance is high on some people's agendas, and that's fair enough. For me personally, the stereo front audio allied with overall capability that's only one step down from the Pixel is more than enough for me to choose the Nexus 6P and not have to justify an £800 plus price point to my family. You may remember that I reviewed the Moto Z, back in Phone Show 290, the ultra-thin phone that accepted modular backs clipping on via magnets and an array of pogo pins on the back. A really nice idea and well implemented, and I was playing with the battery and speaker mods, and the same is true of the Hasselblad mod here. It's superbly imagined and integrated. It just clips on the back, you get a buzz. With rubberized plastic and a right-hand side bulge, it feels very much like a DSLR when clipped onto the Moto Z. A DSLR with a huge viewfinder. Just press the button on the top and the camera activates. The sensor's no more than worthy of a cheap point-and-shoot camera at the end of the day, though, as is evidenced by the results when not zoomed. Most of the time you'll get, well, better results using the Moto Z's own camera. However, when faced with something far away, say at a concert or other event, a 10 times zoom, watch this come out, it does work, and work very well, for both video and stills, and it's all optically stabilized. Yes, the focusing's a bit slow, but I still loved having the zoom capability, one for holidays and special occasions, outdoors perhaps. The other USP here is the full xenon flash. You know I'm a fan of this from the Nokia 808 shooting this phone show, from the Lumia 1020, and also the Samsung Galaxy K Zoom. Xenon lights up the dimmest rooms and freezes moving human subjects, no blur. Again, the flash works as advertised, and I got some good results from the Hasselblad Moto Z mod. What's not to love? Well, and this is quite a long list. Number 1, results aren't quite as good as they should have been. I get the feeling that the image processing built into the Hasselblad is very much first generation. So many shots should have been sharper and clearer. Number 2, the zoom control here is wobbly and stuck out painfully when my phone plus Hasselblad was in a trouser pocket. You can probably hear it rattling if I hold it up to the 808. That's a pretty nasty rattle. Sorry Motorola, sorry Hasselblad. Number 3, the zoom control is also fast. Too fast. Trying to fine-tune the zoom factor is almost impossible. It's either nothing or 10 times or some random step point in between. Number 4, the zoom is also noisy. It reassures you that it's working, I guess, but when shooting video, it's annoyingly loud on the video soundtrack. You'd have thought that this could have been largely cancelled out digitally. Oh well. Number 5, when shooting video, you're maxed out at 1080p. Now, this isn't a showstopper, but it's a bit frustrating given that the Moto Z phone on the front itself shoots at full 4K. Number 6, the big one, the Hasselblad mod at around £200 in the UK is miles too expensive. For this sort of money, you can get a standalone camera that produces far better results, and you'd be carrying around either in a pocket anyway, since you really can't keep this bulky mod on the phone all the time. You really can't. The last point is key at the end of the day. If the Hasselblad mod was half the price, say under £100, it would be an interesting option for the Moto Z owner, alongside all the other similarly priced mods, but it rules itself out for everyone other than the true Moto Z completist at this price point, which is a crying shame, really. I really wanted to recommend this to smartphone shutterbugs. This is the Hasselblad Moto Z mod.